The day finally approaches. Your cruise is coming up, your bags are packed, you're ready to go. Then you see an news alert that there is a hurricane headed your way. What happens at this point? Well, I've been on several cruises where they have been canceled, delayed, or rerouted due to hurricanes, but I realized that not many people have encountered a situation. First and foremost, safety of you and the crew is number one priority. No matter where you sail to, they're going to do it in a safe manner. Now, what will happen to your cruise in case of a hurricane will depend on a variety of things, mainly timing of it all. And if it does get canceled, typically you're entitled to a full refund. The cruise will only be canceled if they are unable to depart from the home port safely. What's considered a home port? Let's take, for example, Miami. If your sailing takes off Miami, that's considered a home port. If that ship's unable to unload its passenger or bring on the new load of passengers safely, it will be canceled. But keep in mind, this applies to the home port. So for example, my cruise, I'm going from Miami to the Dominican Republic to the Bahamas. If the hurricane affects the Miami, then it will be canceled. You're entitled to a full refund. What happens with airline flights in that situation, it's going to depend on how you book those flights. If you booked it with the cruise line, then typically you're going to be entitled some kind of refund, some kind of future credit. If you booked it separately through the airline directly or through Expedia, then it will vary on the terms and conditions, because if they cancel it due to the weather, then typically you either get a full refund or future credit. But if you yourself cancel the flight, it will fall back onto whatever terms and conditions that you applied to that purchase. So if it's something non-refundable rate, you're SOL. Unless you have travel insurance. I did a video about travel insurance. I will leave a link to it below. But travel insurance will come into play in some of these scenarios here to help have a second backstop. So if the cruise is canceled, then you get a refund for the cruise. If you booked it with the cruise line, the air with the cruise line, again, same usually applies. But if you booked it separately, then it'll depend on whatever conditions on the airline or the booking system you use to purchase those tickets. But let's say your Port Miami is not being affected in this case, but the places that you're going to, Dominican Republic, may be hit. What happens in this situation is they won't cancel the entire cruise just because one port's being affected. If it's not the home port, they will do one of several things. One, they will cancel that port completely. Maybe they won't visit the Dominican Republic. Maybe they'll visit a different port instead. And whatever activities you had in the Dominican Republic and that port, they will refund the fees back to you, as well as any excursions that you booked with the cruise line. If you do through a third party, again, you're subject to those third party terms and conditions. Another option a cruise line may have is just avoid the storm. They may still stop at that port. Maybe they'll speed up and get there earlier before the storm, or maybe they'll wait, slow down, and come up behind the storm. It just depends on the situation. So you may miss a port, which would be disappointing, but keep in mind, this is for safety reasons. The last thing you want to happen is to go to a port and it be completely destroyed by a hurricane and you get stuck there and now you're in trouble. They may not want to dock immediately afterwards just because they may need to assess the damage of the port. So it will vary from situation to situation. But again, the beauty of a cruise is it's a floating resort that can move. So they move away from the storm. So it's not often that a cruise actually gets canceled. What happens more often is they avoid the storm. They sail around it. They may change their path through the sea. So don't worry too much, because hurricanes are typically slow-moving storms. You know when they're coming. It's not something that's going to catch you off guard. It's not a surprise storm. They are projected days in advance. You know what's coming. So they plan for it and they sail around it. It's simple as that. So typically, not likely a cruise will be canceled unless, again, the hurricane's hitting the day that you're supposed to be on the ship. The interesting thing is, if that hurricane hits your home port on the day you're supposed to return to that port, they'll just stay out at sea. The cruise that I've seen that's happened to, that I was supposed to get on when the hurricane hit, mine was canceled because I was supposed to get on the ship that day. The hurricane hit Miami, but the cruise before me was supposed to arrive back that same day, that very morning. But they couldn't because of the hurricane. So what did they do? They took a detour all the way to Bermuda. How to stop in Bermuda for 2 days? So their cruise got extended. Lucky them. And of course, because all the flights to Miami were canceled, the airlines gave them the ability to rebook without fees, a full refund. or future credit, wherever they chose. So be sure to look at your terms and conditions of your airline flights, in particularly, because those are going to be the ones a little up in the air. Because if a cruise line itself cancels a cruise, you're entitled to some kind of compensation. If you put the airlines with a cruise line, again, you're entitled to the compensation. But it separately, it's going to be kind of more up in the air. A cruise line will typically let you know if a cruise is going to be canceled 72 to 40 hours before the cruise, but this could vary depending on the situation because hurricane paths could change fairly quickly. And if you're wondering if you're going to be able to visit a specific port or not on this cruise, that could happen within hours. Sometimes it's a judgment call, and they have a little more leeway of making those decisions than canceling an entire cruise. So if you're already out at sea, the likelihood is they're just going to sail you around the storm. Simple as that. Those are kind of the general scenarios that will happen if a hurricane affects your cruise. Have your cruise ever been affected by a hurricane? If so, let me know down below, and I'll see y'all next time.